All right, we're on page 50. First, I have to show everybody my outfit. See? Okay. Okay. Thank you. That's to all my subscribers at home. Oh gosh, here we go. We're gonna start with figure 4. It says bacteria buffet. What is the shape of those green bacteria in the corner? They're more rod-like. And again, I would say only because it doesn't continue on like the spiral or the coil ones. It's long. Where these ones, the rod-like, they're going to look like Tylenol. The Tylenol we talked about. All right, respiration. I know this sounds weird, but where have you heard about respiration before? Jamie? Yeah, you have a respiratory system. Helps you breathe, right? Your lungs, alveoli, your nose, your trachea. Okay? Listen to this. Like all organisms, bacteria need a constant supply of energy to carry out their functions. This energy comes from food. The process of breaking down food to release energy is called cellular respiration. Does that have anything to do with breathing? Not really. They didn't mention breathing at all. Like many other organisms, most bacteria need oxygen to break down their food, but a few kinds of bacteria do not need oxygen for respiration. In fact, those bacteria die if oxygen is present in their surroundings. Oxygen has to do with breathing. That's why they call it respiration. For them, oxygen is a poison that kills. Interesting. Can you go down to the apply it section, please? Suppose you are a scientist studying disease-causing bacteria. You make a table that lists how the bacteria get energy and whether they need oxygen. One day, some of your data are accidentally erased. Use what you know about bacteria to fill in the first 2 columns in the table. Let's do this. You're going to do your best with spelling. It's not a spelling test. So, food source. We have decaying leaves, blank, chemicals. Do we know what goes in the blank? I have no idea yet. We kind of need to look at the second column to decide. The second column is blank, autotrophic, blank. So the middle one is autotrophic, that one's filled in, or autotrophic. How does an autotrophic plant get energy? Or where? The sun. So in that first empty column, in the column on the left-hand side, the middle one is missing. It is sunlight or sun. Okay. Now we have to figure out the 2 around autotrophic. If a bacteria gets energy from decaying leaves, heterotrophic. For the first one, so then now the second column goes heterotrophic, autotrophic. What if it gets its energy from chemicals? Like inside its body. Autotrophic again. Not all autotrophs get their energy from the sun. So just to be clear, you need that second column to go heterotrophic, autotrophic, autotrophic. That's the order. Okay, now we're on the third column. Do they need oxygen? Do heterotrophs need oxygen? Yes. Do autotrophs need oxygen? No, they need what? Air. What do they need that we don't?
Carbon dioxide.
Carbon dioxide. So they need oxygen? Nope. If they're autotrophic, do they need the chemicals autotrophic? Do they need oxygen? Nope. They need carbon dioxide. Their waste is oxygen. We need that. Our waste is carbon dioxide. Remember, that's the whole cycle. All right. We're actually going to skip the last column and we're going to go right to the next page. Yes. By next page, I don't mean turn the page. I mean right there. Okay. Let's talk about reproduction. They have to have little bacteria babies. They don't have bacteria weddings, though. Okay. Or do they? I don't know. One of the characteristics of living things is they have to be able to reproduce. Has to. Because like rocks, they don't reproduce, so they're not living. Okay? We know that. We've known that since you were little. They have to, or make copies of themselves. When bacteria have plenty of food, the right temperature, and other suitable conditions, they thrive and reproduce often. Bacteria can reproduce asexually or sexually. Interesting. Okay, so go to the box, the first box, with the purple rods. Do you see it? Okay. Yes, sir.
So one thing has all the other characteristics.
It has to be able to reproduce in some way in order to be living. So what they're saying is they can make copies. And that is what I'm going to show you in a second. Literally in this box a little bit. So asexual reproduction. Watch this. Bacteria sometimes reproduce asexually by a process called binary fission. Bi means two, like a bicycle. In which, yeah. Sorry, I thought your dingers were broken. In which one cell divides to form two identical, where when your parents have a child, you're not exactly the same as your parents. In binary fission, exact copy, exactly the same, like a clone, kind of. We would all look exactly the same. Correct. You would be exactly the same as your dad. Yeah. But the thing is it doesn't make sense because it doesn't happen that way. Like when there is this is against our Catholic religion, but I'm going to just tell you about it because it's important to know. I think it was actually in my kids' Scholastic News. I don't think it was in yours, unless in that time you actually did the same one. But it talked about cloning. So what they did is they get the genetic. Did you guys talk about it? Well, it started with a sheep a long time ago. That's the first time they did it. But basically what they did is they got the genetic material from a sheep. They replicated it. So it was like an identical twin, but obviously that sheep had to grow up. I know. The whole thing is, why is it against our religion? Because you're playing God. Like you are creating someone to be exactly the same. That's why it's against our religion. Well, that's not your job. That's his job. Yeah. And a lot of things in science, that's why we don't believe in them. Because you're playing God.
Is that why some like really religious people don't have?
I don't think so. There just might be certain topics that they won't, or that, well, like us, we have this belief, in our religion that you're playing God if you're cloning, because you're basically causing that sheep to reproduce and to be identical. So possibly someone whose beliefs are like ours, they might not study it. I think it's important to know. Can you put your hands down a minute? Because we kind of have to learn about this part first. So hold your questions, and then I can, if we have time at the end, I'll answer, okay? So to prepare for binary fission, a bacterial cell, and you'll see it starts, it's kind of normal, rod-like, okay? it grows to almost twice its size. So look at it, pretty much doubled in size, its length. Then it duplicates its genetic material and splits into two separate cells. Each new cell receives a complete copy. It's like putting it on a copy machine. If I put something on the copy machine, it's going to come out and look exactly the same as many times as I want it. That's kind of what binary fission is like, okay? It's completely identical. As a result, the offspring are genetically identical to the parent. Binary fission increases the number of bacteria. So here's the thing. You start with one, it breaks into two. What happens with these two? They grow and split. Then each one of those four grows and splits, and it goes fast. From one, it's just growing, split. And then these ones all grow and split and grow and split. And soon you're going to have like this huge branch. Okay? Why are all of the this is a pencil. Why are all of the bacteria the same color? Brooks? Yeah, they're the same. They're the same. You can write, they are the same. Their genetic information is the same. They would be the same color, the same length, the same height. They'd have all the same information. And then you need to label the box at the top of the, it kind of looks like a tree diagram, but what's at the top? Binary fission. Goes in the box and then it splits. Okay? I have to read the next one. Just put it on pause. I'm sorry. I know it's hard. If you need to jot yourself a little note of what you're going to say so you don't forget, you can do that. It's okay. It's okay. Just want to make sure I get through all of the content first, okay? All right, so sexual reproduction. Sometimes bacteria reproduce sexually by a process called conjugation. Oh, phew. Your batteries must be charged back up. During conjugation, one bacteria transfers some of its genetic material through a thin thread-like bridge. Huh. Interesting. After the transfer, the bacteria separate. Conjugation results in bacteria with new combinations. So it's kind of like you having two parents, having an offspring. You have a little bit of your mom and dad. It's the same thing. It's not binary, like you're not identical. When the bacteria divide by binary fission, the new genetic material passes to the offspring. Conjugation does not increase the number of bacteria as binary fission does. So obviously see how that the binary fission is one splits into two. And then each one of those grows and splits. Then you're down to four. Conjugation would reproduce like we do. Like two parents would have an offspring. And then that offspring it doesn't multiply like the binary fission does. It does result in bacteria that are genetically different from parent cells. So what is this process called? Conjugation. Could you write that in the bottom box, please? Now, I'm not sure. Everybody has to see. Mine's different. My teacher edition is a little bit. My teacher edition is a little bit different than yours. Nothing serious. My picture just looks a little bit different. Why is the bacterium on the bottom right red and yellow? Because it has what? Levi?
That both have different genetic material.
Yeah, it's new genetic material. It's new. And that makes sense because like if one of your parents has brown hair and one of them has blonde hair and you have like light brown hair, you get like a little bit of both. So that's kind of the same thing. That bottom bacterium is like a mixture of both parents using colors. Okay, I need to get through one more paragraph. We can do it. Turn the page, please. Again, jot a note so I can help. Gotta know. I don't want you to forget. All right, endospore formation. We're getting some big old words in here. Sometimes conditions in the environment become unfavorable for the growth of bacteria. For example, food sources can disappear, water can dry up, or the temperature can fall or rise dramatically. I mean, right now, we should have snow. Okay. I actually saw this today on some of my memories on Facebook. I don't know if it was 2 years ago. This was day 2 of a snow day. We had 2 in a row. Yep. And we've had other snow days. So anyway, my point is that in what they're talking about, you can all of a sudden have it get freezing cold, or all of a sudden it's like super warm. So animals that are migrating are kind of confused. I know. So anyway, some bacteria can survive harsh conditions by forming endospores. And endospore, that was way better. Your batteries are charged 100%. Is a small, rounded, thick-walled resting cell that forms inside a bacterial cell. It encloses the cell's genetic material and some of its cytoplasm. Because endospores can resist freezing, heating, and drying, they can survive for many years in harsh conditions. Endospores are also light. Check this out. A breeze can lift and carry them to new places. Interesting. Kind of like pollen, or I was thinking like dandelions. If an endospore lands in a place where the conditions are suitable, it opens back up. Then the bacterium can grow and multiply, can begin to grow and multiply. So check this out. It's like a timeline. Normal bacterium, regular, conditions are good, we're ready. Next one, look, the ground dries up. Okay. Also, a good example of that would be like the California wildfires. Yeah. Used to grass, suddenly we have nothing. Okay. So then, look what's going to happen. It's a little careful. So then, if you go to the third box, which is still desert or dry conditions, the endospore starts to form. Okay. It's kind of like putting part of itself in a safe, just in case, like trying to save itself. Okay. That's different because those aren't bacteria. Yeah, it's just different. Yep. So anyway, what they're saying is it kind of like takes part of its information and puts it like in a safe so that when the conditions become right again, it can grow and multiply. Here's the thing. It can float, like it's light. So that means there could be bacteria in the air when you go outside today. Could be. Now, I don't know specifically like how long it does that floating process. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yep. Yep. Okay. We're not going to do the questions on the bottom.